Hello friends, welcome back to my channel. If you are new here, my name is Abby and I like to talk about spooky things. And this is my dear best friend, Mr. Oscar. Okay, there you go. In today's video, I'm going to be showing you 27 terrifying TikToks. As always, if you like this video, please be sure to give it a big thumbs up, click the subscribe button down below, and turn on post notifications so you would never miss a video. I post every Sunday and most Wednesdays at 2 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, 4 p.m. Central Time. Before we get into the video, I just want to let you guys know that my mom has an Etsy shop and she makes all kinds of creative things, primarily wine glass charms, but she also does make some cute pine cone ornaments, and I wanted to bring that up because, you know, the holidays are approaching and she sells a lot of things that definitely would be good gifts for friends or family. If you guys are interested in wine glass charms, little trinkets, ornaments, please check out her Etsy store. It is called Seven Gables Designs, and I also have a link down below in my description. And without further ado, let's get right on into the video. Our first three TikToks are by the user I am JazlyB8.
I tried to do this video 4 times, y'all, and for some reason the audio is not saving or the video is lagging. But that's because the devil don't want me to tell y'all the truth about what people is doing. So I'm gonna do a story time today on how witchcraft is real, spiritual warfare is real, and how you need to trust your discernment. About 2 years ago, my husband and I found out I was expecting, right? So I was about 4 or 5 weeks pregnant, and I wound up miscarrying or whatever. I wound up doing a panel. So when you miscarry, your doctors is going to do a panel on you to see what's going on. Well, panel came back, blood work is good, everything is fine. He's like, you know, sometimes this happens or whatever like that. He was like, next time you get pregnant, we'll just monitor you closely. So months later, I wound up getting pregnant again. Well, same thing. I miscarried again. About 4 weeks later, I kept miscarrying. Couldn't find out what was going on. So my doctor was like, well, maybe I'm missing something. So, okay, second time I miscarried, we done like 4 different panels on me. I drew so much of blood work, y'all. It was crazy. Well, got my results back. Nothing was off. Everything was perfectly fine. So it was to the point my doctor was like, listen, you're too young to be miscarrying like this. You've already had a successful pregnancy. So my husband and I, we already, at the time, our daughter was 10 going on 11. He was like, you've already had a successful pregnancy. There's no reason you should be miscarrying. He was like, at this time, he was like, I'm going to refer you to a fertility clinic because maybe it's something that I'm missing. Well, made the appointment to go to the fertility clinic, but I wound up finding out I was pregnant before our appointment, which I'm going to get today. So I'm a dreamer, okay? I know it might sound crazy to some, but if you are spiritually aligned, then you will know what I'm talking about. God reveals things to me in my dreams. I see things in my dreams. So I started praying and I said, my specific words were, God, if someone is blocking me from staying pregnant and expanding my family, show me who they are. Show me the truth as to why I can't stay pregnant. Reveal to me the unseen. So I'm asking him to reveal to me. So I don't know where, like I said, I'm praying that prayer or whatever. Few weeks, months went by or whatever after that second miscarriage. So it was to the point we just stopped. Like, we just stopped trying. It was like, oh, you know, it is what it is. Like, my husband kept telling me if it's our time, it's gonna work. So I kind of stopped worrying about it. Well, yo, out of nowhere, I wound up dreaming about this girl that I was friends with like 7 years ago. Like, her and I have not talked in 7 years. So went to sleep one night, and the girl came to me in a dream, and I woke up in rage. I'm like, why am I dreaming about her? Like, because the way we fell out, it was horrible. Like, it went from 0 to 100 just because I no longer wanted to be friends. Our lives was going in two different directions, and it was just like, it really was no need for all the drama that went down to even go down, because we just was outgrowing one another. And because somebody don't want to be your friend, it doesn't mean you have to make a big deal out of, I don't know, y'all. It was just toxic. So anyways, I woke up in rage. I called my husband and I'm like, guess what I had a dream about? And he's like, what the hell? Why? And I'm like, that's what I'm trying to figure out. I haven't spoken to her in this amount of this and this. So I'm just like, whatever. I'm like, I'm upset about it. So then I'm like, why am I even dreaming about her? Mind you, I forgot that I had prayed for God to reveal what needed to be seen. And if anyone was hindering me from expanding my family, I forgot I had dreamed it. So okay. A few days later, I dreamed about her again. 2 times. Third time again. Third time, I remember that dream verbatim. I was in a cabin and I was at a bar, and they had this gentleman behind the bar, and he was fixing me a drink. But the way the dream started off was like as if we was already talking. And she came in the room she came in the cabin from like a back door, and it was her and her sister, and the girl that I keep dreaming about, she was holding a baby, and it was a little boy. And when she walked in, her exact words were, "I fixed that bitch," and they were laughing about it. So the guy said, "Do you know her?" And I said, "Yes, I do." And I just rolled my eyes. I was like, "Well, I don't know why the fuck she's here." And he chuckled a little bit. He turned around and he said, "Well, isn't that what you asked for?" And I woke up out my dream. Y'all, the moment I woke up out my dream, I was gasping for air. Like, I don't know why. I felt like I was just in another dimension. It was weird. But I gotta make a part 2 with my video. It's too long. I've gotten so many comments like this, y'all, and it really warms my heart. It's so many of y'all I can't even respond to, but just to see that there is other people that actually understood where I was coming from with the dreams. Y'all, I can go down a whole rabbit hole of different things I've dreamed. Like, I've even been able to go back, and I know it sounds weird, but the people that's gonna get it is gonna get it. I've even been able to go back in time, like before my grandfather passed. God prepared me, and he took me back in time to where it was just weird. Like, I was able to see him transition back into a young man, him and my grandmother. I seen people in my dream I've never met a day in my life that died when my dad was small. But when I told my grandmother this dream, she knew exactly who I was talking about. Y'all, it's so much that I could speak on. Like, if y'all want to hear it, let me know. But it's just crazy. And when you tell people that you are a dreamer, or you're able to read the energy, like, I could walk into a place, if I feel like I could instantly just feel a shift in the energy, I'm out of there. My ears start ringing, I know something is going on. I just can't pinpoint it. It's just so hard to explain to people that's not spiritually aligned, that's not gifted. And not everyone is gifted. I really do feel like God blesses certain people with certain abilities that really get labeled as crazy. And this is something that me and my husband talk about a lot, because baby, me and my husband, we be going down the rabbit holes. I really do think the people that's labeled crazy, they know about the beyond, like beyond the veil, you know. But I've always been able to dream since a little girl. Like, yo, it's so much I could speak on. I've actually seen people I didn't even know who they were. For instance, my godmother told me that when I was small, I described, I think, her grandmother in their living room, and she was like, that lady has been passed since she was a baby. And I seen her, and until this day I still remember seeing that woman. But as I got older, I had forgot about it, and just talking with family, and when she brought it up, I was like, oh my God, I remember that. And that whole time I thought I was dreaming, and I really wasn't. It's just so much that we are blessed and gifted with. It's just we have to learn how to really tap in. All right, girl, I got you. So my mom told me I was about 11 years old when I had this dream/encounter. So this story time is going to be about Uncle K and my grandmother that I've never met. So a little background on them two. Uncle K is my mom's first cousin, so you know how they go, that's your uncle. And my grandmother died when my mom was 16, so me or neither of my siblings ever met her. Oh, and we barely have pictures of her. My mom only has one picture of her mom, so we really only know how she looked off of that little one picture. So keep that in mind. Uncle K died whenever I was 11 years old. And as a child, I would stay up extremely late because I was always scared of the dreams that I would have. At the time, I didn't know what they were. I just knew people would come to me, and I didn't really know like what was going on. So it would make me scared to go to sleep. Well, I finally drifted off one night of staying up. Like I think after he passed away, I stayed up for like a few nights. And I would just sleep during the day because I was scared to sleep at night. I remember seeing this airplane, and so when I finally got on the airplane, I was standing up in the middle aisle. So I'm looking around like, you know, where I'm at, what's going on. Mind you, like I said, I was a child at the time. So at the time, I couldn't tell the difference if I was really dreaming or if it was reality. And all of a sudden, I see this bright light, kind of like where the door was at. And it was so bright. I just remember like covering my face a little bit. So when I looked, I seen Uncle K. And I was like, Uncle K, Uncle K. But when I seen Uncle K, another lady was with him. And she was in this pretty blue, like kind of like a Tiffany color, like a Tiffany blue outfit on. And she had some jewelry on her neck. She had rings on her finger. Her hair was like a reddish color. So I didn't know who the lady was at the time. So then I seen Uncle K and I'm like, Uncle K, Uncle K. So I go run up to hug him. And the lady screams, no. And when she done this, the people that was sitting in the rows, they stood up. And they didn't even have to touch me. The moment they all stood up, it's like a force pushed me back. And like I went all the way to the back of the plane. So I look at him and I said, well, Uncle K, I want to come with you. I haven't seen you in so long. I don't want to be here. I want to come with you. So he was like, no, baby, you can't come with Uncle K right now. He was like, Uncle K is okay. I need you to stay here. He said, I just wanted you to know Uncle K love you. And I started crying and I was like, but Uncle K, I want to go with you. I want to go with you. And the lady was talking to him and I couldn't hear, but he turned around and it's like she told him we need to go because he was like, okay, Uncle K have to leave right now. He said, but I'll be back Saturday. He was like, yes. He's like, yes, baby. Uncle K go come get you. So the lady looked at me and she kind of like smiled a little bit. And I just was looking at her because I didn't know who she was. But all I knew was she the reason my Uncle K was leaving again. In my dream, I was crying because like I said, he had died. So I was crying in my dream. Y'all, when I finally woke up, I felt someone let go of my hand. And when I always slept with my arm out. So I used to sleep like this, right? Like with my arm out. Ever since that encounter, I always sleep with my arms tucked in now. Even as an adult, I don't ever sleep with my arms or with my hands out anymore. When I came to, I literally felt someone let my hand go. And that freaked me out. Y'all, I ran to my mama's room. I was crying. So I was so scared to go to sleep, especially Saturday. I thought like that Saturday I was going to die. Well, obviously I didn't, girl. I'm still here. But when I told my mom about the dream and I described the lady that was with him, my mom comes out and she's like, girl, that's my mom. Oh my God, Jazz, you dreamed about my mom. Like my mom had tears in her eyes because she knew I wasn't lying. Like I said, the picture that we have of my grandmother, y'all, it's about this small my mama have, and it's in black and white. So I don't know how her hair color was. I don't know about the jewelry that she was buried with. But apparently, from what my mom says, like everything I described her in is exactly what they buried her mom in. Like I said, I had this encounter at the age of 11. I don't know how I do it. I just always been able to have dreams and certain encounters with the other side, I guess.
We've talked about this many times before, but I think definitely dreams can be very spiritual, and I think sometimes they could be absolute nonsense, but I think that there are plenty of times that you dream things and it is a way of your higher self warning you of something, giving you some kind of premonition, or just you tapping into the you on a completely separate timeline. But if you have a dream and you kind of think it may be telling you something, I would trust it because it more than likely is. Our next two TikToks are by the user It's Sasha Holson.
Today's paranormal experience is going to be a little bit different. So I'm going to give you a background video, and depending how long that takes, then I will get into the actual paranormal story. So if you don't want to hear the background, or you already know the background of this one, I mean, please still like it and share it, you know what I mean? But then the next video you'll probably want to see. This paranormal experience is actually a story my friend had, and I'm going to share that first. And then I will share my experience because I also had experiences by that place. So that place in question is the Lalaurie Mansion, okay? New Orleans is my husband and I's favorite city to visit. It's probably my favorite city in the United States, and I don't care what you say, it is. I love it. Something about it just keeps pulling me in. But now it all fucking makes sense, huh? If you don't know, this whole wall, some you can't see, is all New Orleans themed. Like, that's how much I love New Orleans. The Lalaurie Mansion is very haunted, okay? I'm gonna tell you what happened there. Again, if you already know, let me tell the people who don't, okay? I don't need you to be like, I know the story, you didn't tell it right. Fuck off. So this is gonna be the background. So, the Lalaurie Mansion belonged to Madame Marie Delphine Lalaurie. So, I'm gonna give you the gist of it. Okay, I'm gonna insert a picture of the mansion so you know what I'm talking about, and then I'll put a picture of this bitch, even though she doesn't deserve a picture, but I'm gonna show you who the fuck I'm talking about. Fuck her. Madame Delphine Lalaurie was born in 1787. She was born into a wealthy Creole family, okay? She was a prominent figure in New Orleans high society. Married 3 times. Wonder why. But her final marriage was to physician Leonard Louis Nicholas Lalaurie, which led to the infamous horror surrounding the Lalaurie Mansion at 1140 Royal Street. She was a New Orleans socialite back in the early 1800s, and she is infamous for the House of Horrors, literally. But behind closed doors, oh, hell no. Actually, hell yes, because that's what it fucking was in there. Hell. This bitch maintained her high-class image, okay? And she was a respected woman of her era. Did this last forever? Fuck no. Fuck no. The grim truth came to light in 1834, when a fire broke out in the kitchen. The fire was reportedly started by a cook who was chained to the stove, and as a desperate act, started the fucking fire to get the authorities there to see what was going the fuck on. Well, what was going on, you might be asking? Let me tell you. When authorities arrived and went in the mansion, what they found, fucking disgusting. Okay, you think like, oh, Jeffrey Dahmer, oh, Wayne Gacy. Bitch, fucking worse, okay? They discovered an attic room, okay? And the attic room in this mansion was where Madame Lalaurie would do all her physical torture and torment. Not even physical, more like psychological. Psychological as fuck. This is where this bitch would host her psychological torment on her enslaved people. In the attic, there were people found in multiple stages of life, various stages of abuse and mutilation. And when I say mutilation, I'm going to be very careful of how I explain it on here, but think of the worst things you could do to people. I'm just going to get an example because I don't want to get too graphic on TikTok because they're probably going to take my shit down because you know what? TikTok's a hater, YouTube's a hater, you know what it is, but whatever. Think about when you got your deer, what you do to get to the deer meat. What do? The first thing you do, you know? Yes, that's what this bitch would do to these people. And this was punishment for being disobedient. And I'm talking, if she asked you to get a napkin and you said no, oh, okay, well, here goes your face, bitch. I'm not even kidding, bro. This bitch was crazy. There were also eyewitness accounts who described victims' limbs broken and angled in ways that made absolutely no fucking sense. Sometimes they were even folded and put into small fucking cages. Others had iron collars on with spikes preventing them from making any kind of noise. Others had wounds that were infected. Others were clinging on to life. They were weakened of years and years of malnutrition and abuse. Or others who claimed she would just perform these disgusting experiments, attempting to modify or disfigure her victims for her own sadistic pleasure. When the news of this spread, oh girl, it was over for this bitch. Like, everyone was enraged. Everyone was like, fuck this, and they pulled up. They all pulled up, and I ain't talking on their horse and carriages, although I'm sure they did. But no, okay, these motherfuckers pulled up with their pitchforks and their torches, bitch. They were ready for battle. They literally rode at dawn, bitch. And they tore that mansion up. They fucked that mansion up. They broke windows. They fucked that mansion up. But when they arrived at the mansion, guess who was not there? Oh, you guessed correctly. Yeah, that bitch. She fled the city. This bitch took off. Nope, not gonna catch me. This bitch allegedly took off to Paris, lived her life, lived her quiet life until she died. Although some people have said they've seen her return to New Orleans, but obviously she was disguised as not her. Long story short, this bitch tormented slaves. Okay? This mansion was later rebuilt, and it is known today as one of the most haunted sites in America. And they say that this is haunted by the tortured souls of those who suffered there. So now that we know this, alright? Now that we know the backstory, I'm gonna get into my friend's paranormal experience at the mansion. And as I tell this story, I'm gonna be telling it as if I'm telling the story, okay? So when you hear I, this is not my experience, this is my friend's experience. After her experience, I will tell you my experience when I was there. Okay, let's get into part 2. Are y'all ready? A few years ago, I was in a dark financial place, and I was looking for any job that paid decently and had flexible hours. Living in Vatry, Louisiana, I just felt isolated, away from the pulse that is New Orleans. When a friend told me about a housekeeping job at a beautiful old French mansion downtown, I jumped at the chance, obviously. Little did I know, I was stepping into a nightmare. The first day was mundane enough, just cleaning and dusting this lavish house that has seen better days. But as I finished up, this stench, I still smell it to this day. The stench assaulted my senses. It was this disgusting mix of burnt flesh and rotten meat that just clawed at my throat. I panicked, thinking I forgot to take the trash out or something. And I ran to the kitchen. And as soon as I got to the kitchen, the smell was gone. I was confused and I was a little shaken up, but I just brushed it off and went on about my night. The next day, as I was dusting off the parlor on the second floor, I heard it. I heard chains dragging across the wooden floor. My heart raced. At first, I thought it was just somebody outside, but then the sound grew louder and louder, unmistakably coming from inside the house. I stopped. I took my ass downstairs. My pulse is pounding in my ears. I went to tell the other housekeeper, and you know what she did? She just scoffed. Mind your business. What? No ma'am. She just dismissed my fears as if it was nothing. Reluctantly, I turned back upstairs. And of course, there was this uneasy feeling, like a thick fog. And as I began to go back to work, that fucking smell returned. Smell of burnt flesh and rotten meat. It filled the air and my stomach was turning. Later, while I was using the restroom, I heard a scary ass commotion from the third floor. And it sounded like a little girl screaming, followed by a woman's voice who was yelling, "Get in here! Get over here now!" My blood ran cold. My heart was racing. I was freaking out. I opened the door Of course, like idiots do. My heart was pounding, and as I opened the door, the noises stopped. All of them. It left an eerie ass silence. I did not feel right whatsoever. That literally sent chills down my spine. Frustrated and terrified, I go find that same housekeeper and I tell her, look, something is not right. And I tell her again what I heard. But that icy glare from that bitch, she says to me, you never hear anything, okay? Just keep working. Bitch. I mean, it was like she was warning me not to even get involved with this shit, right? It was like it was best if I just left the matters untouched. Days turned to weeks and the torment continued. I often heard the same screams, the chains rattling around the wooden floor, and I smelled that fucking smell non-stop. Then one afternoon, I decided to take my lunch break on the second floor, and a bone-chilling cry came from the third floor. It was filled with agony and pain. It was followed with the sound of chains dragging on the floor. Bitch. And panic ran through me. I truly thought someone was in trouble. I stood up, getting ready to run out the door to help whoever was screaming, and there was a fucking dark figure right in front of me. A tall man, chains dangling from his neck. My heart felt like it was about to explode. And I left that house and never returned, bitch, because what the fuck? Fast forward 4 years, I found myself in New Orleans with my boyfriend at the time. We were eager for a fun vacation. My boyfriend wanted to do a ghost tour, and of course I did too, because you cannot go to New Orleans and not go on a ghost tour. We're on this ghost tour, going through the streets of New Orleans, like we're loving every bit of this. We get to the corner and then the guide points. What is he pointing out? That fucking mansion. Anxiety was clawing at my throat, bitch, as I was listening to the story behind this fucking mansion. The thought of the tortured souls, I was so uneasy. As the guide detailed the screams and the chilling atmosphere that still cling to that mansion, I just recalled my horrifying experiences in that place. The screams I heard were those of the tortured souls that were abused by this evil woman. The stench, the smell of the burnt flesh and rotten meat, the smell of her burning their skin. The feeling of nausea all over me, and I'm begging my boyfriend to leave. The memories flooded back, the girl screaming, the older lady screaming after her, the sound of the chains, the smell. I wanted no part. I am certain that I faced something otherworldly in that mansion. To this day, every time I think of this place, chills, nausea, just nightmares over and over again. Now, you cannot go inside of the mansion as it is privately owned, but if you're feeling ballsy, this mansion is up for sale at a whopping $10 million. I'm just gonna say this. Before you buy a home, I don't care if it's a brand new home, look up what was there, read the history. Hell no, bro. Hell no. Now we're gonna get on to my story, okay? That shit is wild as fuck. So my story, me and my husband decided to do a ghost tour when we went to New Orleans, I think for the 4th time. I read up on this mansion, I think our first time going to New Orleans, but we didn't go on a ghost tour. So we're going through this tour, we're learning about Zach and Addie, which if you want to hear about that couple's story, girl, I will gladly get into it because I am so fascinated, and the fact we were in that building where it happened, bitch! Didn't even know we were in that same building it happened in until we were on the ghost tour. And earlier that day, we went to visit the haunted pharmacy. You go there, you pay for the tour, then you will be where that shit happened. Okay, and I didn't know that until we were on a ghost tour. So when he said that, that's where that shit happened, bitch, it explains so much. I got pictures of orbs, bitch. I had a feeling that, Anyway, so our last stop was at the Lalaurie Mansion. and he was explaining it to us, going more into detail. And we're walking by, and there's other groups, like there's so many tours in New Orleans, and of course if you're going on like the haunted tours, all of them are going to bring you to this fucking mansion. That's how popular it is. So we're walking by the doors of the mansion, and I had a fanny pack on, but I had my bag part was behind my back, so it was just the strap and then the bag behind my back. So we're walking, and me and my husband are in the back, and he's on the side of me. We're walking past this mansion, and we stop, and like the guide is continuing to tell us the story, and then I feel something tug at my fanny pack, and I looked at my husband, wasn't him, looked behind me, nobody was behind me. But my heart was like a little, the fuck, and then I felt it again. And then my body got cold. I felt something pull my hair. It freaked me out. Truly freaked me out. The night we went on this tour, it was storming, so it was raining a little bit, but you know, New Orleans, you have a lot of awnings to walk under. Me and my husband were walking out because I wanted to get pictures of the mansion, like from far away. And there's one that the lightning is flashing in, and I don't know if you guys can see it or if it's just my mind playing tricks on me after knowing about all this, but there is a shadow figure in there's a window, and it's boarded up. Why is it boarded up? I don't fucking know. Guide was like, yeah, it's because some worker jumped to his death. Did you just listen to what I said? When I saw it, when I looked where that window was boarded up, it was like I could see through the board, and I just saw an outline of a man. So that is the Lalaurie Mansion. If you ever go to New Orleans, you can go visit it. I won't go near it. I will walk on the other side of the street, and it's disgusting what happened there, and those poor souls. Somebody needs to go there. If you don't know, Nicolas Cage bought it, and then after he bought it, he had to file for bankruptcy. Now, whether it was the mansion or not, I don't fucking know, but he sold it right after that bitch, obviously because he was bankrupt, but you know what I mean. And the new owner apparently will not spend the night there, because let's say if you spend the night in the mansion, then all this bad shit starts happening to you. It's wild. It is wild. You can feel the energy of that fucking mansion when you're near it. Anyway, let me know if you want me to tell Zach and Addie or other horror stories, because I'm just going to keep this shit going. Love y'all. Bye.
The story of that mansion is absolutely hard to comprehend. I mean, there are so many things that have happened, horrible things that have happened in history, not only in our country, but in other countries as well. And, you know, even horrible things happening in current time. But it's horrifying to hear how those people were treated, and there's no doubt in my mind that there is tons and tons and tons of negative energy surrounding that place just based off of the feelings that those people were feeling as they were being tortured and held captive and forced to work against their will. And I'm sure the spirits of those people too, they probably just want to be left alone. They don't want people coming and going from this place. If they're trapped there, they just want to be left alone and be at peace finally. I personally think it's kind of strange to own it as your home, even though the people who have owned it over the years didn't actually like live there as their primary residence. I still think it is beyond weird to own that place as a home. I think it should be preserved and people should be taught about its history, but I don't think that people need to be making it their home and, you know, redecorating and redesigning. I think it's one of those things that's an important part of history, and we should learn about it, because if you don't learn about history, you're doomed to repeat it. I just don't think that people should be using it as their personal property. I think that's really strange, and I would be very upset if I were one of the spirits that there's someone just trampsing all over this place. And I don't know, I feel like I couldn't rest unless my memory was honored in a better way than just being like Nicolas Cage's home. Like, that's weird. Our next TikTok is by the user Swamp Witch.
I live in a very haunted house in northern Appalachia, and I have had heightened activity lately, and I'm not quite sure why. Last night I'm sleeping, dead to the world, and all of a sudden I start hearing a weird humming noise coming from somewhere in my living room. One of the spirits that haunts this house is the ghost of a woman who was 103 years old when she passed away in what is now my bedroom. I'm used to her. Her name is Stella. You know, I can usually call out, "Stella, please stop," and she will. She'll listen to me. So I tried that last night, calling out to her, asking her to please be quiet. I was trying to sleep, and it stopped for a minute. I close my eyes, I'm falling back asleep, and then all of a sudden, I hear what sounds like somebody pounding on my bedroom door as hard as they possibly can, to the point where it was shaking and my dog went ballistic. That has never happened before. Like, I will hear like a voice, or I will sometimes have my shower curtain be pulled down, or like little things like that where it's like a minor inconvenience, but it doesn't really bother me. I have never had something bang on my door and make it shake like that before. I sit up in bed and I'm looking at the door, just kind of expecting someone to barge in, and I call out, "Hello? Is someone there?" It's quiet for a second, and then I hear my voice go, "Hello?" I am starting to shake talking about this. That's how scared I was. I take a second, do some deep breathing to calm myself down because I don't want to have an anxiety attack when this is happening. And I call out again, "Hello, who is there?" Nothing. I didn't hear anything. So I get up, once I am brave enough to do so, open the door, and there's nothing there. My house is a ranch style, so when I step out of my bedroom and look to the left, I can see into the kitchen, the dining room, and then it turns down another hallway to the living room. I step out into the hallway, I look to my left towards like the kitchen and the dining room, and I see a shadow standing near my side door, but I can't make out what it is. Like, it just looks like a black blob standing there. At this point, my heart is pounding, dude. Pounding. I call out something like, "Who the fuck is that?" because I'm terrified. I think there's a person in my house at this point. And as I'm going to turn the light on, which is like across the hallway from me, I hear my voice again go, "Hello?" And it stopped recording. But I heard my voice say "hello" in a very calm, neutral tone. I flip the light on as fast as I can. There's nothing there. Of course there's nothing there. Today it's been raining all day. If you haven't seen my previous videos, I've talked before about how water is a huge conductor of energy, including paranormal energy, in my opinion. Twice today, when I've been going about my daily life in my house, I have felt like somebody reached behind me and stroked my hair off my shoulder like that. The most gentle touch where like it could be a bug touching me, but I reach my hand back. Obviously there's nothing there. And the second time it happened, I was like, something is fucking with me. Something is obviously messing with me. And it almost feels like something is trying to drive me crazy. Like when I've had activity in the past, whether it's Stella in this house or the spirits that I had in the previous house I rented up here or whatever, it's manageable because I know what it is. I know it's spirits. I know they're trying to get my attention, but that they can't hurt me. But something about this feels very different. I don't know if something somehow got into my house past my protections, if something was here and just kind of bided its time, but I am spooked.
I'd probably think I was losing it if I heard my own voice speaking back to me. Or if I saw some kind of figure in my house and heard my voice, I would probably be convinced that someone was like using my voice on a tape recorder to mess with me or something. I always have a hard time with these like middle of the night shadowy ghost figures in the house because it's like hard to know what to think. You're not sure if you should panic because there's a ghost in your house or panic because there's an intruder that you need to fight off and call the police. And she has a lot of similar stories about her haunted house, and I feel like it would just be such a tough thing to have that as a regular occurrence where you're constantly like in almost fight or flight mode, like trying to figure out what's going on, if there's an intruder, if it's a ghost. I don't know. I truly feel like living in a haunted house would be a stressful situation. Our next TikTok's by the user Morg's Hauntings.
That video was caught on a dash cam in Raleigh, North Carolina, which for me personally was just a bit close to my home. That was just a bit too close to my home for my liking for this sort of thing to be wandering around. Because what in the blurry Lego figure was going on here? Like seriously, it looked like a person, but that was not a person. Like that was a straight up ghost. That was a ghost. A ghost was caught on camera because there is no other explanation that I can figure out. Even if it was a person, which also, why is a person walking right there? Okay, but even if that was a person, they wouldn't have blurred like that. Like they looked like that from the beginning to like right when they were at the car. That makes no sense to me on how that's a person. What is that? If there's a reason, I would literally love to hear it because I'll be able to sleep again. This is horrifying. Can you imagine catching this on your dash cam? I'd never look at it again, honestly. I'd take it out of my car. I would literally rip it out of my car. Do y'all want to see it slowed down? That was rhetorical. I'm showing it to you anyways. Here it is slowed down.
for sure could have been a person, but I am kind of leaning more towards that it was something paranormal. The way it was just wandering so unconcerned in the middle of the street. Like, it knew that if a car drove through it, it wouldn't actually be harmed. I feel like it'd be hard for a person to be that nonchalant. However, I did have a kind of similar experience in the first, I'd say, like, month I lived in LA. Now, I was driving home from a friend's house. It was late. It was probably like 1, 2 in the morning. I was driving home. The streets were pretty much empty, and I saw a black hooded figure on the road, like just wearing like a robe, black robe. Can't see the person's face, just black robe, hood. It was alarming right off the bat. They were walking in the street, and as I was approaching, I had to go this way. There was no other turns. I had to pass this person. As I'm approaching, I'm getting more and more concerned. I'm afraid that this person's gonna like try and jump out in front of my car or jump onto my car. And so I'm trying to go slow so I have a chance to stop if the person jumps in front of my car, but also I'm trying to go fast enough that the person's not like gonna be able to get me, you know? And I'm also trying to act like nonchalant too. Like, I don't want them to know that I'm freaked out, but also there's only like 2 lanes on either side of the road, so I'm like, I don't want to be driving that close to them, but also like if I go into the other lanes of traffic, which I could have because there was no one else out, it's like then I look like I'm scared, you know? It's like there were just so many thoughts, and so I ended up kind of going over the center line a little bit. And again, I was driving slow enough that I had a chance to stop if they jumped out, but fast enough that I wasn't like at a crawl going past somewhere they could start like chasing me. I was freaked out because as I continued to get closer and closer, I could not make out a face on this person. Like, obviously my headlights were shining at them and there was no face. Like, it was just darkness inside of the hood. Like, you would think that as I'm passing them, I'd be able to like make out some kind of a facial feature because, again, my headlights, there was nothing. It was just like darkness inside the hood. It's like walking towards my car as I'm approaching it. Doesn't stop, doesn't flinch as I drove by. I made it home. I lived about like a 2-minute drive from where this person was. I made it home and somehow I was convinced that this person was gonna like follow me home. I made it home, I ran inside, brought Oscar out to go pee, and ran back in because I was convinced that they were just gonna like show up right outside my apartment building, and I don't know, like it was such a scary thing to see. I've never seen anything like it since then, but I feel like it's very similar to this. Like, I don't know what this person, like it could have just been a homeless person that happened to have like a satanic looking robe and they're just walking down the street. I mean, there are plenty of people that wander streets in LA, and that's not abnormal. But the whole like satanic looking robes with the pointed hood, I've never seen it since. So it could have just been homeless person with a robe. Could have been some kind of a devil worshiper that was just walking down the road in their satanic robes. Could have been like a vampire. Honestly, I am convinced that it was something of supernatural nature. Just the dread I got when I saw the figure and continued to approach and wasn't able to make out a face, it was just like this horrifying feeling. And all night long, even though I knew it was unrealistic that they could have followed me home, me being in a car and them being on foot, I was still convinced that they were somehow like in my apartment, and I had a hard time sleeping that night. And I think about that situation regularly. It is probably one of the most frightening experiences I've had. Just that, like, the feeling that I had as I drove past this person, thing, whatever it was. And I mean, this is a long-winded story, but this reminds me of that, and it's so weird. I'll never know who or what that was. but I am deeply convinced it was something either paranormal or someone coming from some kind of a ritual or something like that, and for whatever reason was taking a walk in the middle of the street. It still like gives me chills to think about, because I genuinely felt like I was in danger the closer I got to this person, thing, entity, whatever it was. And I think this entity in this video, it just reminds me of that. It doesn't look the same, but the mannerisms and the fact that it's in the road and it's just so unbothered by the cars passing it. It's uncanny. It's horrifying. Our next TikTok Spit the user is Stephanie Amber 07.
Clinical psychologists from Brazil believe that ghosts could be behind some psychological disorders. Spirits, if you will. This is part 2 to clinical psychology and levels of reality. These researchers worked for 3 years with these patients that have psychological disorders, and they essentially used psychics to heal these patients. In this process, they discovered what they call theta agents, essentially ghosts or spirits that are influencing the well-being of the individual. Through certain procedures, the sensitives, the psychics, removed these theta agents, and it was found that the patients improved drastically. This approach is essentially suggested to complement traditional psychotherapy. The researchers assert the hypothesis of the existence of other levels of reality is supported by observation made by other researchers, including the pioneers of the Society for Psychical Research of London, the early French metaphysicists, the studies carried out by Stevenson, Osis, LeChan, Tart, Moody, and others, as well as a secret fourth one that I can't read because of the way that this was photocopied. They conducted the studies in such a way that rules out other hypotheses, such as the element of suggestion. This was ruled out by the sensitives, the psychics, essentially doing the healing on these patients without them knowing that that's what they were doing. They also found 4 types of theta agents, which are the ghosts or spirits that are allegedly involved with this. The 4 types are theta agents unaware that they have died, theta agents led to harm patients by means of black magic, theta agents that are out for revenge to try to harm the patient, and theta agents sharing and enjoying the patient's activities. As for the first type of theta agents unaware that they have died, they usually cause a state of mental confusion in the patient, presenting with 2 or more of the following characteristics. They don't know what's happening to them or where they are. They feel like they're in total darkness. They complain about physical pains. They're apathetic and feel weak or drowsy and tired. They complain about existential situations, worry about or look for their family but are unable to find them, complain about difficulties in contacting people who act like they did not notice their presence. They notice that this type of entity will essentially manifest at very dramatic moments of their lives, like illness, accidents, or quarrel, and it can leave the individual feeling like they don't want to be breathing anymore. The second type, theta agents induced to harm patients by means of black magic. They are usually aware of their conditions, although they might be unaware that they're dead, and they've been contracted to do this. They're not emotionally involved with the patient. The third type, theta agents that intentionally try to harm patients may or may not be aware that they have died, and the intention of harming somebody is due to revenge. They essentially feel that they've been victimized. Sometimes an entity of this type is not harming the patient emotionally. He remains at his side claiming to love him. That's gaslighting. And the fourth type, theta agents that share and enjoy patients' activities may or may not be aware that they have died, but it's essentially a symbiotic relationship where the theta agent is interested in the pleasure that they get from being with the patient, not the patient themselves. And the mechanism of interaction between a theta agent, the spirit, and the patient is very one-sided. The authors are not necessarily saying that the theta agents themselves are the cause of the disorder, but rather the individual might be predisposed or open to the influence exerted by these theta agents. As for what triggers it, they think that there's a bunch of factors, environmental, personal, etc. Could be a combination. So yeah, let me know what you think in the comments. Join the fam for more. And this is for entertainment purposes only. Thank you.
Not a psychologist, not a certified mental health professional of any kind, so there's only so much I can say about this. However, I have experience with, having ADHD, OCD, anxiety, PTSD. So I have a little bit of personal knowledge on some of these things. When you are suffering through like a mental health crisis, I think it definitely weakens your energy fields in a way that it allows things to kind of latch onto you. And I definitely believe that when there are people that are in really bad mental states and they're more vulnerable to negative entities taking advantage of them, latching on to them. And I definitely think they can exacerbate the situation. I mean, I'm not saying that, every mental health issue is caused by spirits. That would be insane. I definitely don't think my ADHD, my anxiety, my OCD, I don't think any of that has anything to do with the paranormal. But I think there for sure can be instances where someone is just in such a state of depression or despair, and an entity can just latch on to that and feed off of the negative energy that you are letting out and just making it worse, like making it spiral. And I really think that when spirits latch onto someone, they can absolutely do a number on them mentally. This makes absolute sense to me that it could be a possibility. I mean, I feel like there are so many possibilities and so many reasons for mental health issues. There's genetics, there's environmental factors, like the things that you're eating, drinking, even, like there's an electrical plant behind your house, like just the most basic explanation of that kind of a thing that I can think of. There's also, there's the nurture versus nature. So there's the nurture aspect of it, like getting PTSD from a situation that you went through. And I think, even being in, like living in a haunted house that has such negative energies, I think it for sure could cause that too. I think for sure this could, be added to the list of things that cause or exacerbate mental illnesses. And I think it'd be a very interesting thing to like really study and learn more about. Our next 4 TikToks are with the user Olivia Conkle.
If you're watching this at nighttime right now, I suggest you scroll. Now, this story is 100% true, and this happened to me when I was a child. So when I was younger, my grandma used to buy dolls on eBay. Old dolls. Right off the bat, that's scary in itself. But this one specific doll that she bought for me one time, it had red hair and a red dress. Extremely old doll, looked like it was maybe from the 60s or 70s. Now, I was not freaked out of this doll until things started happening. Now, the doll would move a lot around my room. So much that my mom had to put it in my closet. That didn't help. Surprised. Anyways, the doll would still end up outside of the closet, but this one particular night was different. Woke up dead out of my sleep one night. I had no idea what time it was. My closet door was wide open with the doll in there. Not only is that creepy, but behind the doll was a big black shadow hovering over this doll, staring at me. I'm 8 years old. I'm freaked out. I screamed for my mom as an 8-year-old would. Now, right when my mom came into my room, the closet door slams shut. She turns on the light in my room, opens the closet door. The doll is gone. The doll is nowhere to be found. It is not in my room. It's not in the closet. Also, mind you, I did share a room with my sister, and during this she was asleep up until my mom came into the room. At this point, my mom has had enough, and she takes me and my sister to go sleep in her room with her. Now, when we get to my mom's room, which is like right across the hall, the doll is on her bed. It's on her bed waiting for us. Now, at this point, my brother is involved, my older brother. She tells him to just watch us in the living room, put on a TV show. My mom leaves with the doll. She drives somewhere. Now, a little later, she does come back. She never told us what she did with the doll, but we never saw that doll again. Safe to say, my mom did not allow my grandma to gift us any dolls that she bought on eBay or anything online. So that is my haunted doll story. Share yours in the comments.
Don't watch this at night. Now, this is a story from my boyfriend, actually, and this is a story of when he went to an abandoned factory with his friends. Now, at this time, he was a teenager, so I would say 10 years ago. So one night, they all decided to go explore this abandoned factory. Super creepy place, known to be haunted, whatever. They just wanted to explore the place. So now, about 20 minutes into exploring, they go up these stairs. Now, these stairs aren't just any normal stairs. They're the kind where it's like swirly almost. And they're wooden stairs. Not durable whatsoever. Mind you, this building is one of the oldest buildings in our town, built around 1800s, I would say. Anyway, so they get to the top of these stairs, right? Pure darkness. Now, there's a room at the top of the stairs to the right.
So they're just kind of up there looking around, whatever. All of a sudden, they all see this like black figure, like shadow thing in the doorway. They are freaked out, so they start walking down the stairs. They're ready to leave. They want to get out of this place. Now, as they're walking down the stairs, whatever that thing was comes running down the stairs so fast after them, you guys. Like, it was chasing them down the stairs, like, telling them, get out, you know what I mean? Like, we don't want you here. So they got out of there, got in their car, and just drove away. That's pretty much the story, you guys. Every time that he tells me this story, it freaks me out so bad. I can actually show you guys the building if you want. But yeah, that's it, you guys.
Yeah, I do not mess with haunted dolls. Obviously, I've got some weird dolls. I mean, we've got Gregory here, that I get plenty of comments about how people hate him, which I love him. I think he's adorable in a spooky way. And then we have my Raggedy Ann, aka knockoff Annabelle, but neither of them are haunted. I specifically, before I bought knockoff Annabelle off of Etsy, I asked the person who owned her, I was like, have you experienced any weird stuff? Because I don't want a haunted doll. I just want a non-haunted Annabelle. And she was like, no, like, I can't say I've experienced anything. And I was like, all right, sold. I like creepy looking dolls for my creepy looking corner, but I don't want there to be any ghosts coming with them. I don't like haunted dolls. I really don't. And I don't like creepy dolls in my regular living area. Like, there's a time and a place, and that is here and here only. So that's horrifying. If there was door slamming going on in my house, I would not be staying there anymore. If I'm home alone, I'm getting out of there. I don't care if I don't have a car. I don't care. I will literally sit on the steps of my apartment building and wait for, in this case, my boyfriend to get home. I'm not sitting in there alone. I feel like door slamming just seems incredibly evil to me for some reason. It feels very threatening, and like there's certainly some kind of danger going on there. Maybe that's just me, but I'd be very intimidated. Our next TikTok's with the user Midwestern Cryptid.
Talk about ghosts, baby. Hey there, it's Hannah, your mystic friend from Minnesota, but I'm in Kentucky. However, I still have stories from Indiana. These are going to be some of those more wholesome stories that I mentioned, though. Well, first up, while doing my initial walkthrough of Indiana State, I came across a spirit named Annabelle, but she had me call her Annie because that's what her dad called her, and it made her feel more comfortable. I found her sitting in a closet, scared, not really sure what to do. Turned out she didn't even realize she was dead. She had been here for a long, long time, hiding. Now, she was a tuberculosis patient, and she had been admitted to the hospital very quickly, and then the tuberculosis progressed very quickly, and she was gone before she even knew it. She told me that the process of getting sick, being brought to the hospital, and getting treated happened so quickly she barely had time to comprehend it. So I sat with her, and I talked with her for a while, and I asked her if she would be interested in passing over to the other side. And she was a little bit nervous about it, so I explained to her kind of what that is, what's going to happen to her and everything. The main reason she was nervous to leave was because she had a brother, and she didn't know where he was. She didn't know what had happened to him, what had come of him throughout life and everything. I had gotten the distinct feeling that he had gone on to live a full life, and he had already passed, and he'd been waiting for her on the other side. He didn't know why she wasn't on the other side with him yet. So at risk of sounding like the ghost whisperer, I helped her find the light and I helped her pass over, and I felt it. I felt the energy in the room just lift, and like that, she was gone. She was on the other side. Now later on in the area that I think was used as a chapel, I have yet to confirm that there was a darker energy there. But we came to find out once we did some work that it wasn't dark due to like malicious intent or rage or anger or anything. It was dark due to fear, and that fear had actually come from the way the Catholic Church describes heaven and hell and the afterlife and everything. There was a spirit who was staying in this one spot, and they were afraid to pass over because they didn't know what was going to happen to them. So I sat and I talked with them for a while, and they became open to it. And so again, I helped them find the light, and I felt it as soon as they left. The energy just shifted. There's still a lot more spirits in the area, but that heavy energy, it went away, and I was standing in the exact spot where the heavy energy was. It was just an astounding feeling. It was crazy to experience. Shortly after that, I came across the spirit of a doctor who had chosen to stay around to look after the patients that were still residing within the hospital. He didn't want to pass over, and I respect that. He just cared about his work, and he cared about his patients, so he wanted to stay. After that, I spoke kind of to the collective of spirits, and I found that some of them were interested in passing over, but they weren't quite sure about it. So again, I talked with them about it. I told them what to expect. And that turned into me opening a doorway and leaving it there for, I think, a couple of hours so that spirits could go and pass as they wanted to. So I did that, and I made sure I went back and closed the doorway, because we're not leaving doorways open, especially in high energy places like that. But it just, man, I wasn't expecting the chance to get to do work like that in places like this, because the places that we're going are notoriously haunted. I obviously can't pass over every spirit and everything, but I can help the ones who do want to leave. As far as Wholesome at Indiana State, that's about it. But then we popped over to Billy Creek for the evening. And me and a good chunk of my group spent a lot of time in the schoolhouse there. We had our own personal reasons for that, but once we took a break from communicating with the specific spirit there that we were trying to communicate with, I sat and I talked with some of the kids that were still there. There's a lot. There's like 17 of them. They all still attend class there. And there were a few of them who were upset. One because he had to wear the dunce cap. The other because she had scraped knees. I was talking with them when they would bring up that they were sad or they were hurt or something. I would always say, I'm sorry, is there anything I can do? And they would come back through Estes and go, no, there's nothing. And then they came through and went, you're nice. Which I just thought was so sweet. I think there are a lot of children spirits who know that they're spirits and know that they're passed over, and they don't mind that. I think they like just being and hanging out and doing their own thing. But the kids in the schoolhouse were really sweet. It was really active. They had a lot to say. They loved playing with the music box. I don't know. Most people don't like child spirits. They say that it creeps them out, which I understand because there's plenty of stories of, darker things, darker entities appearing as children in order to have people bring their guard down. But for me, when I encounter actual children spirits, they're just so fun. They're funny. They have so much to say. They just want to talk. They want to hang out. They want to play. And I don't know what it is about it. I love it. I just love that they're still so playful, so happy, and that they're still children. I mean, imagine being able to be a child for literal eternity. Alright, so there's most of the wholesome stories that I have for you. Now tonight we're going to be going to Waverly Hills Sanatorium. I'm not even going to try to promise a live, mostly because we're going to be locked in all night. And I do need to save my phone battery as much as I can for various reasons. But I will record what I can on my phone. We do have a few video cameras with us, and if we get anything good, I may be able to share it later on here once we start going through that footage.
I love when people are kind and caring to spirits and do things like helping them cross over to the other side. I think it is just such a wonderful thing to hear about because, there's just so much bad stuff going on in the world. It's kind of heartwarming to hear that there are people that care about the unseen, care about, a little girl's spirit from a girl who had tuberculosis and passed years and years and years ago, helping her get over to the other side to find her brother. I feel like it's such a heartwarming thing to hear about. People always say, you can tell someone's character by how they treat animals, and I think that kind of goes along with how they treat spirits too, because I guess you don't have to be nice to them. But when you choose to, and you choose to be a good person in a situation you don't have to be, I think that says a lot. Our next TikToks, but the user SpookyTime426.
Story that I'm going to tell you, honestly, it creeps the fuck out of me still when I think about it. So growing up, I mean, I didn't really grow up with my grandparents. We would go visit them, like when we went to Mexico and stuff, and on vacation. And I remember like really spending a lot of time with my mom's mom, but with my dad's mom, we hardly like ever spent time. And I remember my mom always being so cautious, like, be careful what you eat when you go to your grandma's house. Don't get everything. But for some reason, my grandma had like a really, really like strong connection with me, I guess. I remember her always telling me like, oh, you look so much like your dad. But she would always kind of single my little sister out, like, oh, but you know, your sister looks like your mom so much. And I remember she would like grab my face and be like, oh, you're so beautiful, you know, you look just like my son. And so, I mean, me and my sister would joke around about it, like, oh, you're the favorite one, but I never really took it like, it was like whatever. So I used to work in a warehouse when my oldest daughter she was like a year and a half. And I had found out that just recently, like, I remember when I was working, I found out that then I was pregnant with my son. So I remember working a graveyard shift, and I remember not telling anybody because I work with mostly guys. And I'm like, they don't need to know about my business or whatever. And I must have been like a month pregnant. So I remember getting off of work, and I felt so uneasy, you know, like I had a feeling, I don't know, like something bad was going to happen. And I remember I couldn't sleep. But before I even went to go lay down, I remember like looking at the end of the hallway, like I get there, right? And I'm going to go to my room, but the hallway was so dark. And I remember like I was about to turn on the light, and I stayed looking at the end of the hallway. And I remember seeing this really dark, like a human figure, right? And I got so like tripped the fuck out. I was like, what the fuck is that? And I turned on the light, and there's nothing there. So then I tried to go to sleep or whatever. And mind you, I must have slept for like 2 hours. And then I had this sudden urge to like call my mom. So I remember I called my mom, and I was like, hey mom, what are you doing? And she's like, I'm so glad you called. I'm like, what happened? And she's like, your grandma just passed away. And I remember I was like, what the fuck? And I told my mom what had happened, you know, how I had seen that figure at the end of the hallway. And my mom jokingly was like, oh, she probably want to say goodbye to you. You know, she probably, you know, dio su despedida, like said her goodbyes. And it kind of stuck with me, right? So mind you, remember I work graveyard at this warehouse. And so I remember walking into HR office. And I wish I could see this girl. I mean, I wish I could reach out to her, or she could reach out to me if she ever were to see my videos. I remember walking into the HR, and she's like, hey, like try to approach me. She's like, can I tell you something? But I don't want you to feel uncomfortable what I'm going to tell you. And I'm thinking in my head, what the fuck is she going to tell me? You know? And I remember she's like, oh, it like terrifies me when I think about it, because everything that happened after was so fucking scary. I remember her like telling me, you know, it's gonna sound awkward, blah blah. Cut the story short, she's like, somebody walked in with you. And I'm like, the fuck? I walked in by myself, you know? She's like, no, it was an older lady that just passed away. And I remember looking at her like, what the fuck are you talking about? And she's like, starts describing my grandma to me. When she told me this, I felt like my heart dropped, you know? I'm like, how the fuck does she know? And so she tells me that, and then she's like, but she can't rest. Like, she needs to tell you something. And I'm like, tell me what? Like, you can't tell me? You know? And she's like, no, like, your grandma needs to tell you. And I remember I was like, no, like, I don't want her to come to me. Like, how is she gonna come to me in a dream? Like, I was starting to trip. Because, mind you, when my grandma passed away, the way I remember her, like, no, I was so terrified, honestly, when she passed away. Like, I didn't want her to come back to me like that. She was very old already when she passed away, but her skin was so fragile. Like, if you picked her up, like, literally her skin would rip wherever she was, like, picked up from. So she's like, she's gonna come to you, blah blah. And I'm like telling her, like, no, like pleading, like, no, I don't want her to come to me. Like, I sound like a crazy person. And so she's like, but she's not coming to you right now, you know? And she's like, when you have your son. When she told me that, I was already tripping, you know? This just like threw me overboard, right? And so she's like, yeah, when you have your son. I hadn't told anybody I was pregnant, let alone I didn't even know what I was having. So I remember every night like praying to God, like, please don't let her come to me, please, I'm terrified of her, like, I don't want her to come, God. Like, I would pray for her every night. Like, I was literally terrified of her. And the day comes where I have my son, right? So I'm continuing to pray every night for her, like lighting candles for her, and I'm like, please don't come, please don't ever come. I don't care what you did, like, I don't want to know what you have to tell me, like, why are you choosing me, like, choose somebody else. Like, and I remember telling the same girl that told me that, I'm like, can she choose somebody else? Like, and she's like, no, because she knows you're strong and you're going to be able to handle what she's going to tell you. And that stuck in my head, and I remember just like losing it, to be honest. And I don't know, I felt like so uncomfortable my whole pregnancy because I just was waiting for her to arrive. So I ended up having my son, and at that time my daughter had her own room, but she would sleep in a little toddler bed in my room. So the toddler bed was right next to my bed, and I remember like breastfeeding my son. Tell me why. This is when I think about it, it's so terrifying, to be honest. Like, I really hope she doesn't ever come back, because my daughter's sitting in her toddler bed and she kind of like sits up and she's like not fully awake, right? So she's sitting up and her eyes, they're like not open, but she's like, I don't know if she's trying to open them or rolling back, but I'm tripping the fuck out. I see her sit up, and then she's like, Kukui, kukui. Bitch. Kukui? You know, I'm like, kukui, and I'm like calling her name, like, wake up, wake up. But let me give you a little background. When my daughter, when I was changing my daughter's diaper, right, we had a picture of my grandma in a spare room at my mom's house. And I remember how she like looked up at the picture and she was like, kukui, kukui, pointing at my grandma's picture. And I'm like, kukui? Like, what the fuck are you talking about? Like, kukui is like something scary, right, in Spanish. And I'm like, telling like my mom, come here, look what she's saying. And mom's like, what the fuck? Like, why would she say that? So when my daughter sat up in the bed and she was saying that, in my heart, I knew it was my grandma. And I was like, I can't do anything for you, you know, like, I'm not the person. But it made me so angry to think that she was like going after my daughter. So I like start cussing a storm, you know, and like, get the fuck out of my fucking room, blah blah. Like, my mom has always told me, like, if you see something, a spirit, like, you're supposed to curse it, right? Curse at it, and supposedly it leaves. I don't know if it's true, but it worked. Like, when I said that, like, I remember as I was saying it, I could see my daughter's eyes, like her whole, like her eyes, her head, everything started turning like to the side. Oh my god, it's so fucking scary when I think about it. It started like turning and turning, like as if it's like watching this thing walk out of the room. I literally fucking died in that second. And I'm like, I start tripping the fuck out, you know? And I'm like, you know, calling my daughter's name. I'm like, wake up, you know, wake up. Mind you, she's like 2 now. And I'm like literally so pissed off. And like I start crying, and I'm like holding my daughter, and I'm like holding my son, you know? And I'm like, why would you come? I was more pissed off at that. I'm like, why would you come and scare my daughter? Or like, I felt like she was being selfish, even though it was like her afterlife. Because after my grandma passed, like a lot of things surfaced about things that she did, like while she was alive. Like that she was to like black magic, and she did a lot of things to people that she shouldn't have done, you know, my mom being one of them. So, you know, in my mind, I'm thinking like, dude, she fucking did something really bad, and she wants me to go, you know, take care of it for her. Like, no. After that, I had one more encounter happen, but when that happened, I would start dreaming of her, but I never would see her face, you know? Like, my dreams were always, I knew it was her, because that same scary feeling that I got when I felt that thing come into that room that night, I would wake up literally screaming, terrified from these nightmares I would have of her. Yeah, they're not even dreams, they're nightmares. Where she would just be sitting in this black room. Not black, she would be all black. This dark room. And she would kind of cackle, like laughing at me. And when I would wake up, I would be so fucking terrified. you know, I'm like, I know, I'm sorry, I know it was my grandma, but whatever she did, I know it must have been something really bad. But I like ask God for her to never come to me. Like, I prayed so much, I pray for her soul. But it's just when I have those dreams of her, and I haven't, like, honestly, I would have them so, like, one after another. But now it's been like, it's been like a year that I haven't dreamed of her. And, like, honestly, before I go to sleep, I always, like, try to pray and, like, pray that nothing ever comes, you know? Or nothing ever, I think it's a cricket. Or nothing ever, like, or she just doesn't ever come back or try to haunt us, to be honest. Because I have a feeling that whatever she needed to tell me was something really bad. And I know that girl had told me that I would be able to withstand what she was going to tell me. But something tells me it was just terrifying. Like I said, I would love to find that girl, you know, that used to work in HR. And just, like, I have so many questions for her. But yeah, that was one of my experiences with a ghost. I mean, I've had plenty of experiences, but this one is one that literally traumatized me. And within the years, as my daughter got older, like, I learned that she too would see things, you know, or she would feel things. Like, when I dream of her, when I dream of my grandma, or when I dream of her, my daughter dreams of her. And my daughter's so terrified, and, you know, my daughter will wake up and she'll be like, Mom, like, she's so scary, like, the way she comes in my dream. But I think I get afraid sometimes, thinking, like, if she didn't get through to me, will she try to get through to my daughter?
My initial impression is, like, I would absolutely love my grandma to come visit my child. I'd love my grandma to visit me, leave me messages, but it seems like obviously she doesn't want that to happen. And obviously she must have a reason for that. I think most people would be welcoming of their beloved family members coming to visit them and visit their children. I don't know, maybe her grandma, like, wasn't a good person or something. It is really confusing to me that she's, like, so adamant that she doesn't want her to visit. And it really makes me wonder why. But also the fact that she's so adamant that she doesn't want her to visit and is, like, begging God that she doesn't come visit, and her grandma still does. Maybe that gives me my answer as to why she doesn't want her to visit, because I feel like she's not respecting her wishes. You know, the story's so interesting to me, and I feel like it's really interesting. I don't know how else to put it. Our next TikTok's with user H. Marie.
Tell me a ghost story that sounds completely unbelievable but is entirely true.
Oh, I have so many stories, but this one in particular was the one that traumatized me. Out of all of them, this one traumatized me, is the reason I will not look outside of windows at night, and I refuse to sleep in that one bedroom. We've been in this house for about 20 years, and this was probably a couple of years after we moved in. Don't know how old I was exactly. I didn't have a clock, I didn't have a phone, and it was the middle of the night, you know, sleeping, whatever, and I woke up. Don't know what woke me up. There was no loud noise, no nothing. I just woke up and I rolled over. And when I rolled over, I rolled to face my window. And, you know, didn't really look at it at first, and then for some reason, I just decided to look at that window. And what I saw, the best way to describe it, is, like, just the knuckle part of my hand. No, not the rest of it, just the knuckles of the four fingers, not my thumb. And it was going like this on the window, on the shades. And the blinds were those, like, thin paper shades that you, like, pull down, no slats, no nothing, like thin white paper. And I could see this. And I watched it for like a few minutes, confused, and then decided to get up and look out my window. Curious child. Big mistake on my part, though. And I looked out that window, and what I saw was this face. The eyes were wide, like you could see the whites all around, like the irises and the pupil. You could see all the whites, and it was like a bright white. And then the teeth were snarling, like nose scrunch, like that. And the face was black and green. There was no hair, no ears, no neck, no shoulders, no body. And the window's pretty high off the ground, so you wouldn't be able to see a person's full face like that close to the window from that inside. You just wouldn't be able to do it. It's too tall. And this was a good, like this, high off the bottom of the window, just there, kind of below this. And yeah, terrified me. Saw it, immediately like let go of the shade, turn around, and booked it out of my room to my parents' bedroom. Woke both of them up, had them come into my room and look. They didn't see a face. They didn't see anything. Now, the whole time they're standing there, I still see this on my window. They didn't see that. I asked my mom, do you see like the hand thingy? She said, no, I don't see anything. Go back to sleep. There's nothing there. I refused to sleep in that room, so I ended up sleeping on my sister's floor, which is in the bedroom that was next to mine. And I slept there for one night, and then after that, I spent a few nights sleeping on my parents' floor before finally they convinced me to go back to my room. And I went back to my room, had maybe like 1-2 couple nights of no issues whatsoever. And then there was this night that, again, I was woken up in the middle of the night in the window, which isn't a regular rectangle window. It's got like the arch thing on top, and we had put like the stained glass peel and stick cling thing so you can't see out of it on there. And there was like a little light orb that shot across it. Didn't think much of it, thought my eyes were playing tricks on me, ignored it, whatever. And a few minutes or so after that, I felt like something was choking me. Freaked out again, ran out of the room, and refused to ever sleep in there again. So I slept on my parents' floor for a while until this room, which used to be a deck, was finished being built. And then I moved in here. Didn't really have any experiences after that for a good long while. And it wasn't until I was an adult that I brought this event up to my mom again and was talking to her about it. And I was like, did you really never see this? And she goes, no, I did. I just didn't want to scare you any more than you already were. And part of me was relieved that I wasn't crazy and that I wasn't the only one who saw at least this. But another part of me was a little angry that she lied to me and made me feel crazy for so long because nobody would believe me. It felt like nobody believed me. It was so frustrating. People would call me crazy because of it. And, you know, I kind of felt a little crazy because, like, I clearly saw this and my parents were standing right there and they said they couldn't see it. And then years down the road, I get told, yeah, I saw that. I just didn't want to scare you more. So, you know, all of that, fine and dandy. Never have been able to figure out what it was that I saw. The cops were never called to check it out and see if there was anybody out there. I don't know why. I was young. I don't know why my parents made the decisions they did on that. If it was me as an adult and that was my child, I would have called the cops and been like, my child said they saw a face outside their window. Come check it out. No. But, like, we never talked about it again until I brought it up many years later to my mom. But, yeah, so that's the story that traumatized me the most. I mean, I have many, many more that I could get into. Like, I could make more videos talking about other experiences. Like, I had a lull where I didn't experience anything for a good long while after this event. And, like, I didn't really start experiencing things again until I moved back home, like 2 years ago. And it's been a little wild since then. It has been a little bit wild. Most of the time I just ignore it, though. But yeah, no. Terrified me. And like the image of that face is ingrained into my brain in so much detail, and it's never gonna go away. Never. Ever. And I've talked to so many people who like believe in ghosts and or who know a lot about ghosts or like really interested or they're amateur paranormal hunters or whatnot. Nobody can tell me what it was. Nobody. And I've tried doing research to figure it out. Nothing. Absolutely nothing. So if anybody knows what that could have been, please let me know. Because like that's just something I can't figure out, and I'm curious as to what it was I saw. And you know, I'm much older, and paranormal doesn't freak me out like it used to. Like I'm all for it and spooky, creepy stuff. But even to this day, if I'm here alone, I will not go on that side of the house. Won't do it. I'm here. Even sometimes at night, when everyone is here, I don't like going to the bathroom back there. I just feel like I'm being watched. It's just, all I know is something evil is on that side of the house, and I don't like it. But yeah, if you know what a green and black face that's like snarling, bright white eyes, and like this face was way too bright and clear for the time of night that it was. Like, you'd have to have like a flashlight to be that clear and bright in the middle of the night when it's pitch black outside and be able to see it like that. Especially if there's no lights in like the bedroom or anything, which there wasn't. There was like a nightlight in the hallway, that was it. But like, yeah, no, I don't know what it was, but I full-heartedly believe it was not a person standing there. It just, too many things were off about it for it to have been a person. So if you know what it could have been, please let me know. Like, yeah, no, like there's certain family members that I haven't told this to because it would freak them out too badly and they'd never come back to the house. And I already have one family member who refuses to stay here. So yeah, if you know what that could have been, let me know.
I'm not gonna lie, I think I'd be furious with my parents for lying to me that they couldn't see that. I feel like obviously they think that they were doing something good by not admitting that they saw the scary thing. But I think I just feel so alone and like I knew what I saw and that no one believes me, and I think it would honestly make it worse for me by them saying that they didn't or that they can't see it. I think if they said like, wow, that's scary, I can see it, I don't think that would make me any more scared. It would kind of make me feel like I had someone on my side, and then, you know, we can figure out the issue together. I don't know. I would be furious if I found out later that I was so horrified of this thing and then I was lied to, that no one else could see it even though they could. Our next TikTok's with the user SweetD88.
Tell me a ghost story that sounds completely unbelievable but is entirely true.
I have been waiting to tell this story, and I doubt anybody's going to see this video or believe me, but I do have video proof of the end half of the story. If you happen to make it there and listen to the whole thing, I will make it as quick as possible, but I'm still pretty fucking traumatized from it, so let's get into it. For the sake of time, I'm going to kind of leave off what happened before and what happened after the majority of it. If this video gets any traction at all, I will make a part 2, and it is just as unbelievable as the actual story. So I moved in and I'm renting a house from the 1930s. It's an old barn house style, and the guy that lived here before us passed away, unfortunately, in the hospital, so the house went up for auction. My landlord bought it, and I was the first one to move in, and this was back in March of 2021. Let me just say that before this incident happened, there was nothing going around in the house, but that changed in March of 2022. Literally fucking shaking thinking about this. Okay, so this house has 4 or 5 bedrooms depending, and I have 2 sons, and one of my sons wasn't here. My other son was sleeping downstairs on the couch, which it's like an all wooden house, all hardwood floors and stuff, and there's a big staircase, and then at the top is my bedroom, and my son would sleep downstairs because it's like fucking backwards, so like he would get really hot upstairs, so he would sleep downstairs, and that's just where he chose to sleep. He had been doing this for many months, never thought anything of it, and then one night in end of February or March, I can't remember what, what date it exactly was. My husband was asleep in bed and our door was open and I was awake, and it was 5 in the morning because I was having a lot of trouble sleeping that night. My son was sleeping downstairs on the couch, and at 5 in the morning, I heard the most guttural, evil fucking sounding scream, like bellowing from the depths of this person who was screaming. And it lasted probably about a good 7 seconds. Now, as soon as I heard this scream, I automatically pictured a guy with his face up in front of somebody and his arms straight back, just like screaming. I can't even imitate it. Like the most evil scream I've ever heard. It caught me really off guard, and it didn't wake my husband up for whatever reason. He's a very heavy sleeper, and I thought maybe I had heard things up until 2 seconds later, where my son on the couch started screaming like he was being abducted. Those screams are forever implanted in my brain. I woke my husband up, and right as he woke up, he heard him screaming and ran down the stairs screaming his name because it sounded like he was being just fucking taken, like somebody had broken into the house and just was taking him, and he was fighting for his fucking life. Sorry. So he ran downstairs and grabbed him on the couch. Thankfully he was there. Brought him upstairs in the bedroom, and then he went downstairs with his knife to go see who was in the house. Now, we kind of figured maybe nobody was in the house because Brandon didn't hear him scream. Didn't hear the scream of the gentleman, whoever did it, whatever it was. Only me and my son did. And at first he thought maybe I was having a dream and I heard it. And I said, no, me and my son, we both heard it at the same time. And it scared the shit out of him. So he goes downstairs with the knife, and the door is locked, and we have about 30 windows in the house, and we're on 20 acres back in the woods, so, you know, anybody could come back here, and we have a really long driveway. And unfortunately, we didn't have a Ring door cam, so he had searched, and he said that that was the first time that he actually felt like goosebumps on his skin, like, you know, when they talk about if you have an encounter. Me and my son were upstairs in bed shaking with the door shut, and my husband came up and he said, all the doors are shut, I don't think anybody's here. And me and my son are just bawling our eyes out because of the scream that we just heard. Somebody's in the fucking house. So I called the cops. I had called the cops for like the first time in my life, and I had to explain to them that I think somebody's in the house, and they just screamed in my son's face. I know I sounded crazy. I'm 37 years old almost, and I have never ever made this type of phone call, ever. So I was on the phone with them the entire time, shaking and crying, and they were asking me questions, and I said, please don't let them miss the driveway, please get them here as soon as possible, somebody is in my house. The cop comes, and he's got his gun and his flashlight, and he's screaming, you know, to come out, that the cops are here, and he goes through the entire house. It's a huge fucking house in the basement and everything, and he's going through each room downstairs, because obviously whatever screamed, or whoever screamed, it wasn't up here. So he went and, you know, he started searching the property too. There's like an old barn up there. Like I said, this house is from the 1930s, and there's a huge barn, and there was nothing. And then I think that's when the real fear set in. I think I would have rather had a man break into my house than what was to follow. Both my dogs were downstairs at the time. They're little dogs, and they are the second half of the story. I'll get in what happened to my other dog from whatever is in this house. But they're pretty stupid dogs, and they didn't bark when they heard it. So I felt like when the cop was saying, he was kind of verifying that it could have been supernatural, and he does go on these calls a lot. And he was like, I'm surprised your dogs didn't bark. And I said, I know, but they never bark at anything. So after that, we kept our son home for a couple days, and there was a CSE meeting, special education meeting, and when Elliot went back to school, he was telling everybody that somebody tried to break into the house. So I was on like a Zoom meeting, so I had to come clean and act like it wasn't supernatural. I just kind of played it off and said, yeah, we thought somebody may have broken into the house. I will add that to this day, a year and a half later, just about, my son still won't go downstairs. He won't go downstairs by himself. He's scared to take showers. He won't play outside at all because he's afraid of coming back into the house by himself. His life is completely destroyed from whatever this is. I should also say that my son said that when he was laying on the couch, he saw a guy in his face yelling at him, and he felt the couch shaking, and that's what woke him up. And then the scream happened, and it was just he said it was like more like a floating head, and it was screaming at him from underneath the coffee table, which oddly is exactly what I pictured when I heard the scream. A year later, we did end up putting a camera up in the living room because we just completely blocked off the living room, and I did not want to know what was down there. Nobody would help us. There's a lot more to the story, but I did end up capturing a lot of fucking shit, and if anybody wants a part 2, I will make a part 2 and try and put in some of the shit that I caught that I believe is a fucking portal in my living room. Thanks.
Whatever that was, I do not think it was something nice. I think based on the amount of chaos and weird things it caused, it was not just some ghost that also lived at the house. I definitely think it was trying to cause harm to her son, trying to cause chaos, and I don't think it wanted them to be there. Our next TikToks with user Boogie Bob NYC.
Guys, right behind me is 420 Clinton Court. It is the most haunted spot in America. For over 100 years, there's been thousands of documented cases of blood-curdling horror that goes on behind that gate. And I'm gonna break it down for you right now. This beautiful tree-lined street is West 46th Street in Hell's Kitchen, New York. Home to thousands of people just chilling, relaxing in their brownstone. There's a barber shop. Sylvester Stallone was born on this very street. Well, right here is something that's very, very scary. Guys, I'm getting ready to show you 4 of the most haunted spots in all of America, and they're all on the same block, all within a block of each other. There has been horrible things that have happened in this location, and unfortunately spirits still linger and cry out, and you are going to be shocked and amazed. Guys, I'm going to try my best to walk you through what went down. This courtyard in the back there was once a horse stable. What you might not know is that this is built on a potter's field, which is thousands of graves of unmarked, indigent, poor people from the 1800s that were buried back there. This used to be a graveyard. Okay, with that said, 150 years ago, they hung a sea captain by the name of Old Moore right back down that alley. Now, his ghost is said to still haunt the residents who live here 100 years later. Also, at least 3 women have fallen to their deaths down the stairs and broken their necks in that back alley. Women have fallen off the roof. A woman was hung. There has been death after death behind those gates. Now look, right here, less than 100 feet away, there is a park right here. Now this park is very famous because of a couple reasons. One, it was in West Side Story, but most important, it was the site of one of the most horrific killings in New York history, when young men from the group or the gang called the Vampires came in here with knives and sharpened umbrellas. They were a gang of Puerto Rican kids called the Vampires, and they were out for revenge against the Irish kids who lived here in Hell's Kitchen. Well, one day right here at Matthews Palmer's playground, they caught the boys and they stabbed them, unaliving them both. One of the young killers was only 16 years old, and even though he was a child, he was given the death sentence, which was overturned by Rockefeller. Is it a coincidence that these horrific murders and these hauntings took place less than 100 feet away from Clinton Court, also on the same place as this old Potter's Field burial ground? But I'm not done.
I just showed you one of the most haunted places in America. Let me show you another. And it's literally on the same block, but it's down 2 streets. This is the Landmark Tavern. The Landmark Tavern is one of the most haunted places in all of New York. I'm not a big ghost person, so if I'm telling you, you can Google it.
The first ghost we're going to discuss is Travis Martin. Travis Martin was a Confederate soldier who was knifed in the Landmark Tavern. Here is the story. Travis Martin came back from the war, and he was in love with Matilda Hathaway. They were to be married, but unfortunately on June 11th, 1868, Edward Duckworth married Matilda Hathaway, and Travis was absolutely stunned. He was so upset, he went out for drinks. He got belligerent, drunker than usual. He was uncharacteristically drunk, and he was quiet that evening, just muttering her name over and over and over, Matilda, Matilda, Matilda. He knocked back shot after shot of whiskey. He spun around, let out a yell using the foulest language he could curse, and he got the biggest, toughest guy in the bar and started cursing him. A fight between the two men ensued. Travis reached into his boot, brought out his Bowie knife. His plug-ugly opponent whipped out his weapon of choice, and it was on. The two men brawled across the bar, smashing the back room. They ended up fighting back in a stairway. Travis' gut was slashed open. It was a fatal wound. With blood gushing from his savage gash, he left parts of his intestines hanging out. Travis crawled up the staircase. He let out a ghoulish laugh as he crashed through the door and ended up in a bathtub where he bled out. The bathtub where he spent his last breath is still there to this day, and if you go to eat, they'll take you up and show it to you. The second ghost we're talking about that still haunts this place today is that of a 9-year-old girl by the name of Mary Moyhan. Her father brought her here from Ireland to escape the potato famine. They were on the boat for about a month before they got here. Unfortunately, Mary got very, very sick with what they believe was cholera. She ended up with her dad renting a small room on the top floor, and she got very, very ill. She didn't eat for weeks. Finally, the family let her come down to the second floor where they surrounded her with love, and unfortunately, she passed. The child and the sounds of a child still echo throughout the building over 100 years later. It's been witnessed by dozens and dozens of different employees and guests over the years. The last ghost is the most famous. That's because it belongs to a famous actor by the name of George Raft. George Raft was a tough guy, born and raised in Hell's Kitchen. You've seen him in movies with James Cagney, always played the tough guy, and that was his spot, right at the end of the bar. In November 1980, the bartender was closing up, and he went to lock the door. The place was empty. He turned around, there's an old man standing in the back, and he says to the man, "Sorry, sir, we're closing." The old man looked bewildered, didn't move, didn't answer him. The old man just kind of stood there. The bartender turned to unlock the door to let him out, turned around, the man was gone. The man was gone. It was the exact moment when George Raft died in California, across the United States. He came back one last time to see his beloved bar. Now I'm going to take you inside and show you the bar itself. Guys, this is the haunting spot of 3 very famous ghosts. The first one, Travis Martin, was the Confederate soldier who got into a horrible fight here, was stabbed, fought, knocked almost everything over that he could on his way up these stairs. The stairs are here in the back. He was horribly maimed. He staggered and crawled up the stairs and ended up at the top in the bathtub, which is still there. The second young ghost is the child Mary Moyen, and she passed from cholera. Her little voice can still be heard throughout the building on certain nights. And of course the last one, George Raft, who was a famous movie star from Hell's Kitchen, who made a home at this bar. On the night he died in California, his ghost appeared to the bartender. This is a very, very serious place. Show respect if you decide to come. Guys, I'm not just making a video, and I'm not a big ghost person, but I'm telling you, when you've had thousands of people over decades and decades corroborating the stories, it's true. Now, I'm getting ready to show you probably the worst part of this whole video as far as deaths are concerned. Right now I'm on 11th Avenue in Hell's Kitchen. This is the west side. Any more west, you're going to be in the Hudson River. But right on the other side of this little fence right here is 11th Avenue. And that for 100 years was called Death Avenue. Over 500 people were killed right on the other side of this fence. 1,500 horribly maimed. Why? Because this avenue used to be trains going through New York City. Before the subways were underground, you had trains, and people would get hit on a daily basis. It got so bad that they hired what was called the New York City Cowboys, the train cowboys. It was a gruesome avenue called Death Avenue. These cowboys would actually ride their horses in front of the trains, getting people out of the way. And this did curb the death and destruction, but too little too late. Thousands of people maimed, 500 killed. This is a very haunted neighborhood. If you come to Hell's Kitchen, show respect, whether you believe in the occult or the afterlife, or you think ghost stories are all stupid. I'm telling you, they're real. God bless you. Be good.
I'm really curious to know if you guys have been to these locations and what experiences you've had there. I mean, this was for sure a long one, but I love just hearing these random stories about history. I love learning about histories about big cities. Such an interesting topic to me, but especially when the history involves the paranormal and or like tragic accidents that are believed to be paranormal. So fascinating always. Our next 7 TikToks are by the user Paranormal with Liv.
I live in a haunted apartment. Something happened last night that I was not able to catch on camera. Me and my boyfriend were sitting on the couch together watching TV. We had ordered pizza that night and just wanted to have a movie night together. We started hearing these weird scratching sounds, which isn't really new for us. We've heard scratching noises in the past. Our cat was right next to us, so it couldn't have been the cat. Anyway, so that went on for about 3 minutes, I would say. And then the TV just starts turning off. We turn it back on, and then it would turn off. It was starting to get really annoying because we were trying to watch a movie together. So one of the times that it turned off and then turned back on again, I don't know what happened, but it was showing like this weird news thing. Like, it almost looked like it was from the 80s. Like an 80s news broadcast. It was super creepy, super weird. We don't even have like live TV or cable, whatever you want to call it, but I don't know how that would even happen. Like, It was super creepy too. It was like some old guy from the 80s, it looked like. Super creepy, whatever. So after that, we just decided to shut the TV off. We also unplugged it because we really didn't want it turning on and possibly showing something else creepy. Anyways, neither of us could really sleep that night. We kind of felt like someone was watching us. It was super hard to sleep. I still don't really know what we're dealing with. Whether it's a demon, poltergeist, a spirit, I really don't know. In my opinion, this thing definitely is evil. If you guys have watched my other videos, you know what's going on in this situation. We are going to be moving soon, and we do know that just because we move doesn't technically mean that this thing will go away. But we are going to try everything we can to make sure it doesn't follow us. What do you guys think that I'm dealing with? Hey guys, do not mind my hair. I just woke up. But I just wanted to give you guys a little update on my most recent video. So we did end up staying in a hotel that night. There are some hotels in our town that allow small cats and dogs. Nothing has happened since what happened in the video. That's not to say that something else will happen. Also in that video, I know a lot of people can't really see, but there was like a little black head sticking out. I don't know what that was. A lot of people were just seeing the door shutting, and there's clearly like something popping out of the door. Terrifying. I think the scariest part for us is wondering what the next thing is gonna be. Like, how far is this ghost or demon or poltergeist, whatever it is, how far is this thing gonna take it? There's our cat. That's his favorite spot. We moved his cat tree right there. But yeah, that's pretty much it. There's not really much of an update, but I just wanted to kind of fill you guys in. Also, thank you for everyone in the comments being so supportive and nice. Again, we do appreciate it. I will keep you guys updated, so if you are new here and you want to see frequent updates, go ahead and give me a follow. Thank you guys. Okay, let's talk a little bit about my childhood. I want to give you guys just a little backstory. So do not mind these roots, I need to re-dye my hair. Anyways, ever since I can remember, I have always been able to see spirits. I've always also been able to sense when something is present. I have a gift of having an extremely strong intuition, which honestly, I think most people have a really good intuition. But anyways, I have always experienced paranormal things in my life, starting when I was a little itty bitty child. Not only has things happened to me, but I have also been extremely interested in paranormal things and ghosts and demons all throughout my life. It's something I loved talking about. I loved watching, the videos on YouTube. I was just super interested in it. But also while things would happen, I lived in an extremely haunted house, and this house is actually historical. It's a historical landmark. Now, I don't really know if any of the other houses that I lived in were actually haunted, but little things would happen here and there. Nothing too big, nothing extravagant, just little itty bitty things. Anyways, I hope this all makes sense. I kind of just wanted to give you guys a little backstory on my life, and I wanted to just let you guys know that I have had paranormal experiences all my life, and I also have been extremely interested in that kind of thing all my life. I am a spooky girl 100%, but yeah, and I just wanted to say that what I am experiencing right now is by far the most horrifying, just terrifying experience that I've ever had in my lifetime. Nothing like this has ever happened to me. Anyways, if you guys want to see more of my life, if you guys want to see moving content, more updates, ghost videos, please give me a follow. Bye guys. The things that happened in this house still traumatize me and my family to this day. This was in my childhood homes, except it was extremely haunted. I was 11 when we lived in this house. We moved out when I was 12. I had a way older brother and then a younger sister. And then it was just my mom. Now, this place was built in 1910. So our first night of staying in this house, the doorbell rung 3 times all on its own. 3 times. 3. If you know, you know what that means. Another thing that happened almost every single day. So we had a pretty big attic, which is those 2 little windows up there. That was the attic. So there was a door in the hallway to get up there. And now you open the door, and there was a flight of stairs. So you walk up there, and then there's the big old attic. I remember this so distinctly. The door to the attic would always be open. No matter how much you closed it, you can lock it, whatever, it would always be open. You shut it, 2 minutes later you come back, it was open. And now as a child, I never really thought anything of it because you're a kid, you don't know. Things like that you just don't pay attention to. But now as an adult, that is freaking creepy. That is terrifying. I don't even want to know. There's a lot of really creepy things that happened in that house. If you guys want more story times on other things that happened, go ahead and let me know because I will tell them. I would never get any sleep in this house, you guys. I physically could not go to sleep. And also, this is the house where my sleep paralysis started. I'm actually about to post a part 2 to this video. Go watch that. I'm gonna tell a really scary story that happened there to me. Bye, guys. Okay, you guys, this is part 2 of my childhood haunted home video. I have part 1 posted already if you guys want to go check that out. But this is the attic story. A little refresher if you guys haven't watched part 1 yet. The attic in my haunted house is a door to get into it. There's a big staircase. You had to go all the way up there. Yada yada. The door would always be open. So one day, I actually went up there, you guys. I went up into the attic all by myself. What I found was terrifying, okay? And as a kid, you don't think like, oh, this is creepy, this is terrifying, there's a ghost. But as an adult, you realize, mind you, no one ever went up there. No one went up there. My mom never went up there. We didn't use it as storage or anything. So I went up there, and I remember there was like framed pictures, like from the 1900s. Of like random people, like men, women, old portraits. So that was the one thing. Then there was this big trunk. There was no lid to it, but inside, and now as an adult, like I already said this, but like now as an adult, this is so creepy. Oh, I have the chills. There was this old, like I would say 1800s or 1900s, like black dress. That was all that was in there. It was just a black, really old dress from like the 1900s. Considering the house is haunted itself, what was found in the attic just makes it 10 times more scary. Like, whose dress was that? Like, who are these people in these pictures? So, just a little backstory though. I did do some research. That house is on a historical website. 2 people that like owned the house, or like the first people to live there, their names are Anna and Paul Boulay. They both died at that house. That explains everything. And you guys, past people that have lived there, I don't really know about the current people, but past people have even said this house is haunted, like the things that they have experienced. We only lived there for like a year, not even, so I just feel like we weren't there long enough for like all the crazy crap to start happening. Someone did say, because I'm in like this Facebook group, someone said that when they lived there like in the 80s or whatever, they would get chased all the way up the stairs. That's terrifying. I truly believe and feel that whatever was in that house, and still is, I mean, I don't really know, I haven't lived there since I was 12, but I truly believe that whatever was in that house was evil. I can feel it still. My mom, she doesn't even believe in paranormal stuff at all. She brushes every little thing off, and she even thought that that house was haunted and creepy. It's happening again, you guys. Oh my gosh. No one in here. There's no one in here. As you guys just saw, the doors closed on themselves. There's no one in here. We're together. All of you guys are accusing us of faking it and saying, oh, all your videos that you're just alone. No. He's freaked out. There's no one literally no one. There's no one out here.
Well, I will say, I think her house looks very pretty from the outside. But the fact that she says it's a historic home, I'm not really surprised that it's haunted. I mean, that doesn't guarantee that it's going to be negative entities, but typically houses that are deemed historic are old and have had maybe something significant happen. Not all the time, but old certainly can cause ghosts. Something significant most likely causes ghosts. So a historic home, I feel like you gotta expect a ghost or two. However, it seems like the ghost or two are not so friendly in this case. And I don't know, it seems like now it has followed her and her boyfriend to where they are living currently. So maybe, unfortunately, it might have attached itself to her, either that or she has unfortunately landed herself in another haunted home. Our next TikTok's by the user, Gerald Crumb.
Hi Molly and hi friend, how you doing? Okay, I'm not awake enough for that. It's 4 in the morning. She just moved. It's 4 in the morning. I fell asleep on the couch. I was watching Alone and fell asleep alone. I was hearing noises over there. Right through there.
Again, no to the haunted dolls. I wish them the best, but I don't want them in my home. But that is a brilliant capture. Our final TikTok of the video is by the user, I am Veronica Pearl.
A Redditor who goes by the username Mr. Griff shared photographs of discovering a whole entire house inside of his attic. You heard me correctly. And the house up there is very much intact and complete with floor wallpaper, windows, light fixtures, and even a bathroom. Like it's actually an entire house. So you're probably wondering, what is this house doing in the other house's attic, and does the house in the attic have an attic of its own? Yes, the second house has an attic of its own, but the owner says it's very difficult to access. As for what the second house is doing there, you have to see the outside of the primary residence. You see where that blue awning ends? On top of that is the attic. And for a long time, the owner had never been to that part of the house. Because now let me show you the entrance to the attic. It's not a nice staircase or a pull-down attic ladder. It's actually just a hole in the ceiling that was sealed until he discovered a way up one day. He had to use a ladder or something to get up there. And imagine his surprise. It's a big surprise, you know? A whole other house he didn't know he had, and a whole collection of spiders to go with it. Yes, he commented on how many spiders he had up there, and all you need to know is that it was a lot. Now finally, on to why this extra house is there to begin with. You might have just thought that this was some kind of accident, that they renovated the house and forgot to do the top floor or something. Or maybe you have darker thoughts and believe that someone was keeping their kidnapped side piece girlfriend up there. The actual history here is that this place used to be a 2-story building, of which the bottom floor used to be a shop, and the top floor was where the store owners resided. But then at one point, this place was converted into a church. And when this place was a church, they decided to renovate everything but around the top floor. I don't quite get this because an extension was added to the house on the ground level. So why not just use the space upstairs instead? It's all very bizarre, and maybe the church was just hiding something there at that point. Maybe, I don't know. What do you think? And I know some of you might comment that this could have been a disappointment room, but honestly, I don't think so. But if you want me to do a video on disappointment rooms next, just comment down below and let me know. Okay, bye.
It could just be something really weird, not necessarily haunted, but I really don't feel good about it. It's really strange. I'd be weirded out, like, what if someone was living up there and I had no idea this whole time? It just, none of it sits right with me. Like, even once I know, after I've checked it out, made sure no one's up there, I don't think I feel comfortable knowing that that exists. Like, it's too weird to me. I think either I'd have to convert it into a place that I use regularly, that's like part of my home, or I'd have to find a new home. Like, I think it's so weird and creepy. I think even if it has absolutely nothing to do with paranormal, not haunted, there's nothing actually weird going on there whatsoever. It was just like lazy on the church's behalf that like they didn't want to deal with it. Even if it was just completely innocent, I think it would make me feel weird enough that I wouldn't want to live there. Maybe I'm just overthinking it. I don't know. Let me know what you guys think about it. That is all I have for today's video. I hope you guys enjoyed it. Thank you so much for watching. As always, let me know your thoughts on the TikToks I showed you in this video. And if you come across any TikToks that you would like to see me include in a future video, please tag me in them. My links are all down below. My username is @theAbbeyStromeyer. While you're at it, please follow me on TikTok and Instagram where I post special effects, makeup content. I think you guys will really enjoy that if you enjoy this kind of content. If you like this video, please be sure to give it a big thumbs up. I will pop a couple of suggestions on the screen for you to watch next. Please click the subscribe button down below and turn on post notifications so you never miss a video. I post every Sunday and most Wednesdays at 2 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, 4 p.m. Central Time. Again, thank you guys so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed this video and I will see you next time. Bye.